Olá, sejam todos bem-vindos! No vídeo de hoje, vamos voltar ao ano 2011, quando o Japão enfrentou um dos maiores desastres naturais da história. Um terremoto devastador gerou um tsunami sem precedentes, destruindo cidades inteiras em minutos. Não era apenas um terremoto, era o início de uma onda colossal que mudaria o Japão para sempre. Hoje, vamos reviver os momentos que transformaram o país.
But 80 miles out in the Pacific Ocean, and 20 miles down inside the Earth's crust, the Pacific Plate is being forced down underneath Japan. Solid rock twists and cracks. Stresses build up in the system until something snaps. In Tokyo, seismic data streams into the country's earthquake monitoring HQ. Other scientists record underwater sound of the tectonic plates grinding against each other. Speeded up 32 times, here for the first time ever, is the actual sound of the earthquake. People in Sendai are among the first to feel the tremors.
It just kept...
Holy crap. This is a big one. Holy.
And there's nothing I can do. I can't run anywhere.
Are we okay here? Yeah, I think so. We'll just follow what they're doing.
Another remarkable video from a Sendai suburb captures the panic as a house shakes around a mother and her son. After 50 seconds, the ground offers the only source of refuge. The earthquake continues for 5 minutes.
We had one big one, and then it kind of...
At Sendai Airport, air traffic controller Yoshi Kabune faces a critical emergency.
Fluorescent lamps in the ceiling are falling down. There were aircraft flying in the vicinity at the time, so we worked hard to make them circle above, because the airport could not be used.
Even in Tokyo, 230 miles from the epicenter, the shocks are strong enough to catch seismologists at Toko Oki by complete surprise.
My office is in a base isolation building, so it should not move. But still, I couldn't even stand up. That was the biggest and longest earthquake I've ever experienced.
Across town, businessman Ayumu Dokizono witnesses an extraordinary spectacle.
When I just look at the building, I was so surprised that the building was swaying. I was so surprised that I felt, oh, I have to film it.
Only 7 people die in Tokyo. But strange things start to happen. Cracks in the ground open and close. And in a process called liquefaction, the seismic shocks squeeze water out of the earth. The quake measures 9 on the Richter scale, with a force equal to 600 million times the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. That's enough energy to power the entire US for 100 years. All exploding outwards from one point in 5 minutes.
This earthquake is one of the top 5, largest earthquake ever. I mean, on Earth. Yeah.
It is so big that it tilts the world 25 centimeters on its axis and slows the Earth's rotation to shorten our days by a fraction of a second. In Japan, the earthquake even rattles the most safely guarded installations. Just 90 miles from the fault line stands Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. With electricity cables damaged, emergency systems kick into action, engaging backup diesel generators for power, and beginning the shutdown sequence for the plant's 3 active nuclear reactors. But 80 miles out to sea, the earthquake has unleashed an even more terrifying force. And it's rippling outwards at 500 miles per hour. Japan is reeling from the largest earthquake to strike it for 1,000 years. It's only the 5th magnitude 9 tremor in recorded history. But one thing scares the Japanese even more. A tsunami tidal wave. And this is exactly what the quake triggered. When the Earth ruptured, 250 miles of ocean floor thrust upwards over 3 meters. This displaced 100 billion cubic meters of water in the ocean above, causing a surge that initially travels at 500 miles per hour.
At the very beginning, it propagates almost the same speed as airplane.
At Sendai Tsunami Warning Center, the alarm sounds. The race is on to find out the size of the oncoming wave.
Due to the tsunami and the earthquake itself, most of the monitoring stations were damaged. It was something that was unreal.
As monitoring systems in Japan are overwhelmed, scientists worldwide track the advancing wave.
I received a call at 1:20 in the morning from a colleague in California. He said, "Turn on the television. All hell is breaking loose in Japan." The earthquake had occurred about 35 minutes earlier. I was able to see some of the immediate coverage of the tsunamis coming in. This was a planetary monster.
3 miles out to sea, the Coast Guard filmed the first breathtaking sight of the tsunami. On land, everyone is still recovering from the earthquake. They have less than 30 minutes before the big waves start to hit. And there's another danger. Parts of the Japanese coast have sunk 1 meter lower, meaning that the impact of the tsunami will be even greater. In the coastal port of Otsuchi, American eyewitness Brian Barnes is working on a conservation project.
When I went to Japan, I didn't even think about, a possible earthquake.
Tsunami, yeah, we're leaving. Yeah, we're leaving.
I didn't know that the tsunami would happen, but I assumed that there was probably about at least a 90% chance.
Where do we go?
Go to the hill.
Where do we go? Just go, huh?
Yeah, the hill.
All the employees are leaving.
Brian races for higher ground, his camera still rolling.
Are we hearing sirens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This town has a lot of history with tsunamis.
When the tsunami approaches land, it slows dramatically. But as the sea becomes shallower, the waves rise higher and higher, reaching up to 14 meters tall. In the radar room at Sendai Airport, air traffic controllers are desperately diverting aircraft away from the quake-hit runway.
None of us really had time to think about our own lives. Everyone was just working very hard to manage the aircraft.
Outside, airport personnel frantically evacuate passengers from ground level. In nearby towns, tens of thousands of people are running for their lives. Among them, Katsuyoshi Hayasaka. The only nearby structure capable of withstanding the wave is the concrete school building a few blocks away.
We were instructed to go to the 3rd or 4th floor, as we didn't know how high the tsunami would reach. Fire crews, traffic officers, and police were walking around the neighborhood shouting, "Evacuate immediately."
The Japanese coastline is just seconds from impact. At 3:15 p.m. on March the 11th, 2011, the tsunami approaches the east coast of Japan.
How quick the tsunamis come?
If it was close, it'll be here in moments.
They're taking it pretty seriously, obviously.
American eyewitness Brian Barnes has seconds to escape, but he's lost.
Come on, somebody help me here.
Where are you headed?
We gotta go to the hill. We gotta get across the bridge, I guess. What if the bridge fell down?
Turn left, hopefully not.
We're driving through town with the tsunami warning blaring. I just felt like it was time to document what was happening. I didn't actually realize that I was going to be documenting the final moments of an entire town.
As the clock ticks towards 3:20, the biggest waves start pounding the coast. Hundreds capture the moment on camcorders and camera phones. In the port of Shiogama, the sea erupts. For this car and the occupants, there's no escape.
信じられないことです。なんということでしょうか。大きな観光船がみるみる流されていきます。向こうにはすっかり船の底が見えています。信じられない光景です。船がどんどん転覆していきます。先ほどの船がここまでもう来ています。すっかり堤防の内側に止めてあった車はもう完全に流されていってしまいました。この津波の脇をまだ自転車で走っている人がいます。大変危険です。車が通っていないところを見ると、もう道路は封鎖したと思われます。今この高い堤防をとうとう越えてしまいました。たくさんの車ももう船も越えるかもしれません。車が堤防を越えました。今船も堤防を越えるかもしれません。建物の1階はもう水の下です。信じられません。もう建物の1階は完全に水の下になりました。真っ黒い水が海から押し寄せてきています。 津波が防波堤を越えました。津波が防潮堤を越えている。津波防潮堤を越えました。流れ込んでいます。すごい勢いだ。空板を離されています。ものすごいパワーだ。飲み込みながら津波が押し寄せています。また地震だ。なんという光景でしょう。先ほどまで街並みだったところが海になってしまっています。まさかこのような光景を見ることになるとは思いませんでした。今波が引き始めました。波が引き始めた。今度は海に向かって引いていきます。恐ろしい光景です。
80 miles up the coast in Kamaishi, millions of cubic meters of water are forced through streets just 10 meters wide. The narrow channels accelerating the speed of the flow.
I kept hearing tsunami, and it was 10 meters, and here are the towns that it's going to hit. But I had no idea the power and force that the tsunami would bring.
We all had a feeling a tsunami was going to come, just because when you have that big of an earthquake, there's just always a fear. We have quite a bit of kids who live in those coastal cities. We're just sending out prayers to them, you know, just making sure that hopefully they were not there when it hit.
Paula and Wesley are safe on higher ground, but tens of thousands aren't. In Kesanuma, one eyewitness video shows town become sea inside 4 minutes. "15 seconds, road becomes river." "1 minute 20 seconds, a warehouse weighing thousands of tons is picked up like a rag doll." "2 minutes, he spots a person in the water. It's a flood of truly biblical proportions. Just 3 minutes, 15 seconds after it started, the torrent has reached the 3rd floor, over 8 meters high. Up the coast, Brian Barnes is trapped on a hilltop.
Just all hell breaks loose and just completely developed this 40-foot tree in a matter of seconds. My thought at the moment was, when will it stop? You know, is it going to come all the way up to swallow this entire hill? And you know, I mean, at that point, you just start thinking, you know, I mean, those are your final seconds in life.
By 3:55 p.m., the tsunami reaches Arahama. Katsuyoshi Hayasaka gets to the roof of this school building just in time.
As soon as someone shouted, "It's the tsunami," a huge tidal wave came towards us with thundering noise and clouds of dust as walls tumbled down. There was a crushing noise, and the air was full of debris.
At 3:57, the water pours into Sendai Airport, 1 mile inland. Air traffic controller Yoshi Kabune is still trying to divert planes when he is forced to escape to a higher floor.
I watched as my own car, which was parked in the car park in front, got swept away. There were still people walking on the ground who are unaware of the tsunami. I heard people yelling at them to get away, and I saw some people in confusion as they tried to escape.
逃げ惑っている姿とかも見えましたし。
The tsunami wave doesn't stop until it reaches 6 miles inland. Japan has suffered 2 deadly blows. First, earthquake, and then tsunami. But a third disaster is about to strike as the nation faces potential nuclear meltdown. At 3:42 p.m., just 56 minutes after Japan is rocked by one of the top 5 earthquakes in recorded history, the tsunami wave approaches Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. Inside are 3 active nuclear reactors. Diesel generators are pumping water around the reactors to cool the nuclear fuel rods. But to remain operational, these generators must stay dry. In Tokyo, one man is watching the unfolding disaster with increasing alarm. Nuclear engineer Mitsuhiko Tanaka helped design the Fukushima plant.
As soon as I put on the television, I learned that it was offshore of Fukushima. That was the epicenter. And then a tsunami warning followed. I felt that this was going to be terrible.
The plant is protected by sea walls 5.7 meters high. But they are no match for the 14-meter wave. Filmed just after the wave is hit, this remarkable video shows the damage. Swamped by the wave, the diesel generators are destroyed.
There is something very important that has to happen after an automatic shutdown, and that is to immediately cool the reactor.
Now, there is just one backup cooling system left. Battery-operated pumps. But they only have an 8-hour charge, and the clock is ticking. While Fukushima edges towards nuclear meltdown, across Japan's east coast, people are fighting for their lives. At its highest measured point, the tsunami reached 38 meters above sea level. For many, helicopters offer the only escape route from their island prisons.
ヘリコプターの音がしたんですね。ヘリですからライトつけながら。
We heard the noise of a helicopter in the sky. It had a searchlight and hovered around the roof. Then a rescue worker came off the helicopter and told us, "We're going to rescue one by one."
するんですけども。
Brian Barnes returns to Otsuchi to discover a scene of...
So it's pretty much hell on earth.
But Japan's nightmare is about to get even worse. At Fukushima nuclear plant, the battery-operated cooling pumps run out of power. And then, seismic event turns into nuclear catastrophe. An explosion blows the roof off reactor building 1. Two days later, another explosion hits reactor building 3. With all automatic systems disabled, the authorities have to make a terrifying decision. They must send men into a radioactive zone to manually cool the reactors. One of the chosen few is Tokyo fireman Yukio Takayama.
福島原発に入ったのは多分18
When we got through the main gate at the Fukushima nuclear power plant, I think it was after 2300 hours on the 18th at night. My very first impression was that it was like a strangely silent haunted house.
感じでした。
This footage shows Yukio and the team as they move in towards the reactors in total darkness.
You couldn't smell anything or see anything dangerous. There was nothing that you could see. All we had in front of us was the collapsed nuclear power station, reactor number 3, right in front of us, which was billowing smoke. You felt this strange kind of fear.
Inside the plant, Yukio and 300 others work in shifts of 50, pouring seawater on the reactors, risking their lives to avert even greater catastrophe.
I was frightened. I don't know much about radiation, but I believed that being exposed to large amounts of it meant certain death. So fear is only natural, but counteracting that fear was a sense of duty that all of us feel.
The Fukushima radiation leak is eventually given the maximum nuclear disaster rating of 7, the same as Chernobyl. This is the biggest disaster to strike Japan since World War II. And it's an event that has affected the whole Pacific region. 11 hours after the earthquake, the tsunami had crossed the entire Pacific Ocean. Rushing past Hawaii, it traveled nearly 5,000 miles at an average speed of 450 miles per hour, eventually ripping ashore in Santa Cruz, California. If a tremor in Japan can cause this, it's an ominous warning of the seismic threat that lies under America's own coastline. As the true nightmare of Japan's earthquake and tsunami emerges, earthquake scientists race to work out the implications of this disaster for the rest of the world.
It's been a remarkable time for big earthquakes. There was a magnitude 6.1 aftershock right beneath the city of Christchurch in New Zealand. That was a tremendously damaging event. It killed over 180 people. We had an earthquake off Chile, magnitude 8.8 just last year, and now this year, magnitude 9 off Japan.
In just over a year, 3 points on the Pacific Ring of Fire have exploded. A possible 4th point in the sequence is the US West Coast. There is now one question on everyone's minds.
One of the things we try and understand when an earthquake like this happens in some faraway place like Japan is what are the implications for us in the United States?
Over 25 million people live along the Pacific coast of North America. From Mexico in the south to Alaska in the north, the whole region is seismically active. One of the biggest danger zones is in California, where the Ring of Fire runs inland, straight down the San Andreas fault line. Professor Tom Jordan has simulated the effect of a major earthquake in this area.
This shows the San Andreas Fault in Central California, and what you're going to look at here is a simulation of a magnitude 8 earthquake as it ruptures the northern part of the San Andreas, comes speeding down at 6,000 miles per hour. Essentially, Los Angeles is a big bowl of jelly that shakes. This, of course, is not the kind of earthquake you'd want to be in.
But further north, America faces an even greater danger.
As many people now understand, there is a fault very similar to the one that broke in Japan off the northwestern coastline of Oregon, Washington, Northern California, and British Columbia.
Lurking just 50 miles off the coast is an active seismic zone known as the Cascadia Fault Line. On this fault line, oceanic crust is diving under continental North America. And here too, the rock is under massive pressure. If it reaches breaking point, the Pacific Northwest could face a similar catastrophe, a terrifying earthquake, triggering a huge tsunami that would hit the west coast of America in just 25 minutes.
An event like this, which is right offshore, tsunami warning systems to kick in, and they sort of have to self-evacuate.
Countries all around the Ring of Fire must learn from the disaster in Japan by building stronger sea defenses and learning how to predict earthquakes. As earthquake scientists continue to analyze what happened in Japan, the real human cost is only now coming to the surface.
There's not a word in the English